Hi guys, welcome to the committed stream. Today we are again on the brown sofa in the creative states, and as usually in studio Viktor Sokolovsky
Евген Куников.
and from other side we have Anton Babenko, the Terraform fanatic. Hi Anton.
Hello guys, that's me, Terraform fanatic.
How are you today?
Well, pretty good. Not much happening. I mean, we don't have snow anymore, so it's good. We had snow 2 days ago. Now we don't have snow anymore.
Pretty good in the COVID world. Sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, very good. No problems, no COVID, just
Okay.
cold and winter.
Are you ready for the tricky questions?
Well, why not? Let's start.
Okay, let's start from the simple question. I know that you are an immigrant, so why you decided to move and why you actually selected Norway? The fjords?
Well, no, not fjords, fish. No, I'm kidding. Actually, I didn't select Norway in first place. I was just working remotely from home, and I was studying in the university in Kharkov, and I started working as a freelance web developer, and that's pretty much it. So then I was invited to go to Norway and see the country, and I like it, and I decided to stay. So it was pretty easy decision. I moved 15 years ago, so long time ago.
Okay, and you, without any thoughts, just decided to move and that's all? When you
Yeah,
was
it was
invited?
pretty. The company where I worked remotely simply asked me if I want to go there as well, and if I want to continue working and do the same things. So for me, there were no changes. I actually did the same work as I was working from home, but I was working from their office. Actually, it was home as well. I didn't work in the office in first place. Well, I didn't work in the office for like, I don't know, maybe 2 first years. So working from the office was not in my plans when I moved to Norway.
Okay, is it true that you started to work in the underground in the Norway?
Yeah, that's true. So I moved, and I was living in the basement, and yeah, then I got promotion. So then I moved to another apartment in the first floor, and yeah, then I moved to second floor in another building. So it was kind of promotion.
Okay.
But yeah, it was pretty funny to
Are you
live
going
in the
to move
basement.
Are you going to move higher?
Well, there is no way to move higher than now because now I'm already in the loft. The next thing to me is to move outside of the house, and yeah, I can do this as well.
Okay. You say that you started as a web developer. Actually, now I suppose you are mostly doing DevOps things. Why you switch it?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question because I was always working and I was trying to learn something new. So I was working as web developer, and then I was working as CTO, and there were a lot of very smart people around me. And then one day I just decided that, okay, I really suck at web development. So they know this much better than me. So let me focus on something what these people don't want to do. And it turned out that none of them wanted to know how servers work and how system administration supposed to be done. I didn't have pretty much any clue about what I was doing back then, but it was pretty interesting challenge. So I started working as a sysadmin slash CI/CD slash pipeline slash DevOps, and then in about a year, I discovered that okay, that's actually called DevOps. Okay, good. So from that time, I focus primarily on that, and yeah, that's how I got into that.
Okay, clear. In the LinkedIn mention it that you are working in your own company, better job for a long time. Actually, what is a better job? And why
Yeah, that's
better job?
yeah. So the thing is that when I started or I discovered this name in about 2007, and the logic behind this name is actually 3 words: bet a job, which means that you can bet on job. It's like freelance marketplace. So the initial project, which I started in 2007 or 6, I don't remember even now, was about making freelance marketplace for Russian-speaking countries and Russian-speaking people. So that was primary business. And bet a job is like abbreviation, is like a funny expression. And then people figure out that, okay, bet a job is just stupid, so let's write it in 1 word, or maybe in 2 words, like beta job, or maybe it's better job, like job which is done better. Anyway, there are so many abbreviations, so now I just write it all in 1 word, and nobody asks about it.
Okay.
Right, Anton. I wanted to ask what makes you passionate about contributing to the open source community and also in the particular to Terraform that you're passionate about?
Yeah, I started working with open source before going to DevOps, and it was PHP and some Symfony frameworks and some different other libraries. And for me, it was always about getting job done. So I want to get job done, and most likely what I do is not part of the main business. So there should be some benefits for other people who are using this library or this solution. So that's why I start publishing different things. And inside of Terraform ecosystem, when I started working there were so many incomplete things, which literally mean you can start writing code in any part of this ecosystem, any tooling, any library, any module, and most likely there will be no competition. It's not like now when you start writing any new solution, there are already 10 different libraries doing similar things. So when I started this, it was quite natural for me that whatever I did was pretty much without any significant competition. There were certain companies, and they still exist, and certain people who do very similar work as I do, but we just manage somehow to coexist, and we don't take each other customers because there are plenty of opportunities. We never had any problems with sharing code or publishing similar type of solutions, as well as community overall is quite interesting to help and to work with. So every day when I talk to customers, I hear from them that there is something new or something cool happening, and I just try to help in different ways by writing different solutions or by discussing or just by talking. Well, it also helps some people. So not necessarily write code, but also brainstorm different solutions so that's what I do.
Yeah, I see. And regarding the communication with community, I noticed that you have started your weekly streaming sessions recently, calling your weekly dose of Terraform. So is it related to the pandemic and you just missing the communication with community? You want to talk to people more and something like that, or is you're just following the modern trends like having a vlog?
Well, I definitely wanted to do this before pandemic. So my initial attempt was more than 2 years ago. Actually, it was pretty much around the same time when I started traveling a significant amount of time. The main reason why I started this one is that I simply want to share some information which I know, and I can share it, and hopefully more people will learn from it in one way or another. And I'm not quite sure that like the main reason for that is that I simply want to do something what I was planning to do 2 years ago. And since I'm not traveling, it's okay. I mean, I'm not missing so much events because I attend, I don't know, like at least one event every week, sometimes more. So I just want to share information. That's primary thing which I want to do. And also, I can tell you that as soon as I start sharing this information, it's getting easier and easier for me to invite other people to join my stream and to talk about similar things which they're passionate about. So, for example, it's quite easy and quite feasible for me to talk to different developers and ask them if they want to come up to my stream and we talk about something unusual. So, for example, we will have more streams about solutions which pretty much no one actually thought about. And these kind of questions and these kind of problems only start when you talk to, then there will be one guy who say like, oh, you know, this is a problem. And then I say, yes, that's exactly the type of problem which I want to discuss with you live. So next or in a couple of weeks, there will be one guy sharing his experience about like managing databases using Terraform, but on extreme scale, like thousands of databases. So yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, as I understand, it takes a lot of time to contribute and share your review your changes. Someone want to accept some pull requests. Someone make feature requests. I believe it takes a lot of time. How do you manage your time and dedication to this?
Well, yeah, that's really a tricky part and tricky question to do, because I have I think about 30 Terraform AWS modules which I have to pay attention, and I have about 10 other repositories outside, plus I have a couple commercial projects, plus customers, plus consultant, plus social events, plus meetups. So all of this takes significant amount of time. The way how I sometimes try to organize it is that I dedicate this by date. So let's say I spend the whole Wednesday to work on modules, for example. I don't do anything else. I don't open emails, or well, I mean, emails I open, but I don't listen to music or I don't talk to people. I just try to commit as much as possible. And usually it works well. But recently I figured out that it's not going to scale in any way. So I'm actively looking for ways how to involve more developers who are already doing the same things. But I just want us to do this even more openly. So in 2 weeks, we'll have several office hours for everyone in the community who wants to just join, and hopefully they will somehow understand what we do, and hopefully they will be able to join us and help us to close and fix even more issues, even more pull requests. Because I understand that this is pretty dead end. I mean, amount of issues which people open or comment during today was more than 10. And it's like almost every day. Well, Sunday is pretty dead. I don't know why, but no commits on Sunday, no pull requests. I mean, what people do. So sometimes Sunday is like, yeah, but I mean, Sunday is not Sunday around the whole globe. Sunday, as far as I understand, when it's Sunday in US, people in Asia should wake up already and they should start pushing code. But no, it's actually completely dead.
Thank you.
Okay, Anton, you just mentioned that you like open source software and you are like the fan of the open source. What actually,
Did I say this?
sorry,
Did I say this?
OSS. And
Okay.
what actually are the real benefits of the open source software, for example, for the developer? It's clear that for the community it's very good because you can take good things for free without payment, without things like that. But in the same time, what is the reason for developer to do work open source? Somebody should pay for this job.
Well, yeah, there are usually two streams how people can pay, or at least two. Maybe there are five of them, but at least two of them. So there are two streams which works for me. So I have several projects where companies approach me and say, we need help with customizing existing projects or existing piece of code, and please take a look and help us to update it or implement it. So this is traditional consulting. And another type of income which is also present related to open source in particular is that companies are actually saying like, okay, we want to have some contribution, and we see that this specific module is not developed properly. So what I do is that I simply do coding, and I just push code to the open source, and I put their names and say that, hey guys, this module or this part of the project has been sponsored by this company. This also works quite nicely, but it's pretty hard to find customers this way. So traditional consulting is like 90% of income, and that's unfortunately, I have to say that it's unfortunately. I would like to do much more open source and worry much less to pay the bill. So that's why I'm looking for some companies who actually take this seriously and can say, okay, we pay you, let's say, full time, so do this and this. Then I will simply focus on one thing and do it much more effectively. Now I have to jump between so many different activities that just, switch and focus here is rather challenging.
Okay, thank you. It's clear regarding the payment, but what actually are the benefits of the open source software, for example, compatible to the closed or proprietary code?
Yeah, the first benefit, of course, at least for projects which I'm involved, is that there are a lot of users, and a lot of us are using different Slacks or Discords. So if you suddenly stuck into a problem, you can just go to a specific Slack channel and ask people, and there are hundreds of people who are using this already, and they will be able to help you immediately. We have been having this support channel for quite a long time, but I'm not the most active person to support people. There are a few channels in Telegram, Telegram RU inside of Terraform RU in Telegram. There are very good people who are just answering and supporting other people, which is really great. I would like to have much more streamlined support through different channels like that one. For example, my friends in Cloud Posa, they have similar projects. They have open source product and they have business behind it, which is consultant business. So if you have problems with their modules, the benefit for you as a user is that you have support pretty much 24/7, with some guarantees that they will reply to you, but I'm not sure what is actually the promise. Anyway, the biggest benefit is that support is pretty good comparing to other proprietary solutions, where you will have support, but you will have to pay significantly more. Like, it's about $7,000 a year to get this support.
Okay, any other benefits?
Well, as a user, you simply focus on what is your business. So most likely, the infrastructure work which you have to do is not differentiating your business versus your competitor business. I mean, you just have to have it done. That's it, and you don't really care how it is done. You just want it to get done and get done it faster and in predictable way, and hopefully with some people around who can help you. So that's another big benefit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Anton, I wanted to ask you about your site that you are maintaining that is called Terraform Best Practices. I recently visited and again wanted to check the best practices, but I noticed that it has not been updated for about 2 years. That's
Yeah,
why
exactly.
I'd like to ask if the best practices have not changed since then, or it's just you don't have a time to update this project.
Well, I think this is typical me. I have, like in all my life, I work a lot on short duration of time. So I have like 3 months of something where I do a lot of work on one project, and then I want to forget that project as soon as possible and don't talk about it anymore. And then I switch to another project, and then I work on it again heavily and deeply, understanding what's going on, and then I again abandon it. Uh, well, abandon is probably a little bit bad word, but at least I switch focus and try to focus on something what is more interesting for me now. Talking about whether best practices has been improved or changed or not changed, well, they definitely have changed. And I went to this website myself, I think a couple of days ago, when somebody opened a pull request and said, hey, by the way, this is not relevant anymore. And then I actually looked in the source code and I thought like, oh yeah, that's true, because it's a lot of things has changed, because I was writing it when I had, actually I was writing it when I had time in Madrid between conferences. So I had 2 days in apartment, and I didn't want to go to see Madrid. I was just sitting at home, and I was putting everything what I knew into I think it was some sort of Google Doc, and that's it. So it took me about 2 days to make that website, and you are absolutely right that I have not been updating it since that. But I think I have few ideas how to update it, but I I want to have people who can help me with that. So that's a little bit hard to do now.
Yeah, rely on the community. Okay.
Well, I think actually relying on the community is definitely important, but relying on the community who is not into Terraform is even more important. What I mean is that I really want to find people who are great in technical writing. So I want to find somebody who can put it into nice sentences, and that's it. I mean, I can dump something into one page of Google Doc, and then I want somebody to actually explain it in better terms and better phrases. That's one of the biggest challenge, because otherwise I will just lose focus and I will switch to something else.
Yeah, I understand that you're a technical guy, and technical writing is not a. It's
Yeah.
sometimes a problem for engineers. Yeah. I wanted to talk about some recent announcement from HashiCorp, as you HashiCorp community guy also as well. So you're watching all the updates, and I know that you also mentioned it in your recent streams. So they introduced 2 new projects called Waypoint and Boundary. I wanted to ask you to briefly describe it, and I want to know your meaning if you if you think it will become popular, for example, one of the projects is something like CI/CD for developers, or something to bring up the infrastructure in the way HashiCorp wants to provide it for community. So yeah, just wanted about it.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting question. So the announcement happened exactly a week ago. I took a look into one project, Waypoint, pretty thoughtfully, and I was trying to figure out exactly what is it and whether it makes sense. So I can talk about Waypoint slightly more than about Boundary, because I didn't test Boundary, but I know what is it from Armon's video. So the first project which has been announced actually was Boundary. In a nutshell, Boundary is a product by HashiCorp which supposed to simplify integration or access to private resources within network. So from the user perspective, it looks like you have desktop application or CLI, which you install on your client. And then this client is connected to your OAuth or LDAP or Active Directory locally, where you get where you authenticate, and then Boundary pass your authentication context to be able to log in to private instances or databases. So in just by talking about this from the top level, it's pretty good idea, because then we simplify the way how we access resources and how we onboard and offboard people inside of companies or inside of projects, which is definitely way ahead. But from what I experienced, it's pretty early. It's like 0.1 release, which means that it has been carefully described, and people were thinking about how this can be done. But it's not implementing significant amount of features yet. So it's a bit early to say. And development will depend on, or not development, but future of this project will depend whether this project will be successful or not. But on another side, the second day was announcement of Waypoint, and Waypoint was accepted much more, like with bigger enthusiasm from the community. And probably this was because, in fact, this is a big problem, and a big amount of competitions is already happening inside of that tooling. So people want to do CI/CD. Well, we all know this. But the challenge here is that people have to do have to support matrix of tools. Let's say if you have 5 programming languages or 5 technologies, and you have several platforms where you want to develop, so you have at least 5 times 5 number of combinations and number of scripts and number of tools which you need to do. So what HashiCorp says pretty much is that, okay, don't do this so many times. Now you just have to do this in a standardized way using HCL, which you already know. So you have to describe this and this and this, and then here you are, we do this for you. Again, in theory, that's fine. In practice, I couldn't get it up and running because there were several crashes during this, and not many things were even developed to the condition that I can simply run it and I can see how things work or what kind of integration are there. But the biggest problem here overall with Waypoint is that it's pretty much impossible to, at least for me, to understand how this tool can be integrated in existing HashiCorp toolset. So we have had tools like Packer, Vault, Console, Terraform for a very long time. We pretty much understand how they can be integrated already. And now we have another tool which honestly does not fit here. To my opinion, it's great, but it simply does not belong here. Yeah, and that's not the bad part, honestly. I understand that it's possible to make it to fit there with some plugins and some integration and changes probably from both of these sides, from Packer and from Waypoint, as well as from Terraform and Waypoint. Anyway, right now it's very early to say what's going to happen, and Next week, I hope to know a bit more about this. But anyway, it's just too early to say anything. A lot of people say that, oh, it's awesome. But when I ask them exactly about what is awesome, they say the presentation was awesome. Well, yes, I got it. But have you tried it? The presentation was indeed awesome. I watched it myself. I watched videos by Armon and Mitchell explaining this in details. Great. I mean, it's really no need to convince me on that. I see the point. And overall, the tooling which we do has been moving to this direction for quite a long time. Many people can imagine a product which was supposed to revolutionize the way how we operate. Who say, "Oh, you had these 10 tools. Now we give you one more tool which replace all of these tools." Or you've been developing these combinations of different tools. No problem. Now you have to use one tool, and we handle all of this complex logic for you. Enterprise, on the other side, says a slightly interesting thing, is that if this will look very simple, we will not buy it, because we cannot imagine that our complex mass, which we have already, can be simplified with such easy tool. And they're absolutely right, because enterprise, the way I think about it, cannot be described in one configuration file. I mean, then you have to fire 200 people. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, thank you for your comment.
Okay, Anton, I would like to switch a little bit to the question about your lifestyle. You mentioned that you work as a developer, but now I think you are more doing some kind of entrepreneurship. And I think it's a huge change in the mindset, because when you are working, when you are a developer, you just receive the tasks, you are doing your job, receive monthly payment. Here you should find the customers. Here you should promote your services. You should do a lot of things. How you changed your mindset, and why actually you decided to switch?
Well, it was quite easy. I cannot imagine myself spending 1 hour in the car every day back and forth. So at least it has to be remote. So early on, when I was living in Ukraine, I was dreaming about remote work. So that's why in 2003 I made first freelance marketplace, which was called razrabotka.com, where I was telling to people that, guys, going to office sucks. And that's why I was working from the office in Ukraine one day. I couldn't resist more than one day. I went to office and then didn't talk nicely to the boss, and he fired me in half day. So that was all my experience working full time in Ukraine. So yeah, that was it. So now, of course, in Norway, the trick is quite different. Since I live in a very expensive country, what I have to do is that I have to earn money through consulting, and I have to really minimize cost. So amount of money which I spend, let's say, to pay salary is going not from myself, but from consulting assignments which I do. So let's say, if I earn money, then half of this money goes to me, and half goes to pay salary to people who works for me. So currently, I don't have any investors or any other support than myself. So that's a little bit tricky. So I need to do work to find customers, as well as to find ways to survive. So yeah, it's a little bit tough, to be honest, but we'll see how long I can go this way. But it's definitely challenging, because I need to do, again, way too many things, which I want to simplify somehow. Let's say, to take maybe only big projects, but don't work with very small customers, like for 1 hour. But right now I accept pretty much everything. I don't know why. honestly.
Okay, how much hours every day you work in general, I would say?
You mean sit in front of computer? Is from 9 to 10 or 9 to 9. That's sitting in front of computer. How many hours I charge customers? Well, it's from 0 to 12 hours a day. Usually it's about 0, but then suddenly it's about 12 hours a day. So it really depends. Yeah. Again, the trick here is to charge customers so that I can pay salary to myself and to people who works with me. I can do this slightly different and go somewhere outside and ask for some seed funding or even government support. I actually talked to government about 10 years ago, and I gave them a business plan, and they said like, "Oh yeah, that's cool, but are you planning to hire people from Norway?" I said, "Of course not." And they say, "Oh, sorry, but we are not interested in you not increasing labor force here in Norway." I said, "Of course not, because you guys are, let's say, 3 times more expensive than anyone in Ukraine." And this was pretty short discussion, but they were pretty interested in giving money because government in Norway support a lot of programs like this, especially at least 10 years ago when I talked to them. So now for me, the easiest thing is just to talk to some venture fund or some, I don't know, some angel investors and talk to them and explain what I'm doing. So hopefully I will talk about this in some time, but not right now.
So basically, you understand that you are working in some kind of limit of capacity, and you are in a tough schedule, and it's not an easy way, it's like a hard way. So in some point in time, you are thinking about switching from, I would say, doing something hands-on, but instead doing some management or running your own company with the employees and things like that. Correct?
Well, I don't think I'm going to manage any companies myself because I don't really, how to say it correctly. It's like I know that in order to do something big, I need to have team as well, and I have to somehow cooperate with these people. What I discovered so far, and I've been doing this quite actively for a few years, is that I spent a lot of time and a lot of energy managing people. So it's just not for me. I only cooperate with people who don't need management. That's why, yes, it is hard to find these kind of people. But once I find them and we have common understanding of what we want to do, and they're happy with this way of working, that's fine. I don't want to have daily call with them and do micromanagement. I mean, if we need to discuss something, they can call me and we can discuss it anytime. But simply, I cannot imagine having more than, let's say, one employee and talking to him, let's say, regularly about useless stuff. Like micromanagement is one of these frightening things which I really don't want to do. So people who work with me right now, I think they understand that we will not have managers for a long time. That's we just do code. We have open source projects together. We just cooperate asynchronously, and that's it.
Okay.
So all of these things was working even before DevOps, before Terraform, quite nicely.
Okay, can you enlighten a little bit the projects you are going to work on in the future? Or probably you are going to work on the Terraform for, I would say, 5 years. If this is not a secret,
Well,
definitely. Probably you are going to run
yeah,
your own product.
yeah, I can talk about it in some details. So the thing with me is that I usually switch focus as soon as I get bored. So this happens with web development. I mean, it happens with web development in first place. Then it happens with project management, because I was doing project management. This happens also with product management, which I did for a short amount of time, but it was also quite interesting for me because I wanted to develop different products and make sure that product is actually developing nicely. And now I stuck with Terraform for quite a long time. So, I mean, I was in this area for already 5 years. And what I can do next is that it's going to be related to what I've been doing already. As I said, I started in early days when I had like very good timing. So not many people were doing this. You can do whatever you want. And it's pretty good. So now if I would start with this, it would take me significantly more time. So the projects which I'm developing are next continuation of what is missing for Terraform developers. I cannot talk more about like specifically about features, but I can tell you that when people work with infrastructure as code, and I talk to them in different conferences, and I ask them, what's going on? Do you understand what are you doing? What are you going to do next? How are you going to solve this feature, or how are you going to work with your infrastructure? And I see them answering these questions. It gives me a lot of information which I can just absorb and then figure out, okay, this kind of product which all of you guys explained, I have to just put on paper, put into code, release it, and then evolutionize it from there, because it has infinite amount of features which people currently missing. For example, one feature which people talk to me many times is that people wanted to see and visualize their infrastructure as code. Well, I made a project which is called Modules TF, where you can generate code from your visual diagram, which was fine, and it works. So this project is like one-way generation. But some people ask me like, hey, I have this code, how does it look? Like what kind of infrastructure is covered here? So this is one of the features which people constantly been asking me when I was traveling and talking to them. And another feature which people ask is when they start working with Terraform project, they have not enough overview of what is actually going on in this project. Like they see hundreds of lines of code, something is connected, something is linked, but there is no big or high level view. And this is something what we are working as well, and we will hopefully come up with a decent solution in the near future. So overall, there are plenty of things what people don't have right now. And that's actually one of the challenges, that we cannot just find the first library and use it immediately. And here we are, we have this project, we have this product and people can use it and we get money. No, we first have to develop libraries, for example, parsers, some understanding or some sort of graph dependencies, visualization, and a bunch of other integrations with different other tools. And of course, we have to use technologies which just few people understand, because we don't have huge budget, so we cannot waste money here and there. We just have to focus on something what we can easily maintain with very limited amount of people. So that's why we use AWS, serverless, and as we move ahead, we are developing and releasing new open source projects, because, well, it's not our main business. We just release something. If people find it useful, they can use it.
Okay.
Anton, we have already covered the hardness of supporting all the open source projects that you're owning, but I wanted to ask about how do you update it, and how hard is it when the new Terraform version is released? I believe you are very happy when you need to update all your repos and support all the features.
Yeah, it's actually a quite interesting timing right now. Terraform 0.13 was released 2 months ago, and Terraform 0.14 is already almost there. And we have few discussions with HashiCorp employees how new version will be affecting projects which I maintain. And luckily, there are a lot of users in the community who can just try different solutions, and they can discover a lot of problems, a lot of issues. So I don't have to do pretty much anything. The only thing which I need to do is that when somebody open an issue and say, "Hey, this is not going to work in the next version," then I have to take it seriously, and preferably I have to prioritize it and fix it as soon as possible. For example, there are a few things which are going to be not compatible with previous version of Terraform. For me, this means that I need to update this code, verify this code, and as it usually happens when you work with latest technology, you discover bugs in very unknown places. And that's also like sometimes pretty strange, is that you think that you improve it because you fix some bug, but then you see another bug which is not even documented anywhere. And you think, is it you who did something bad, or is it really unknown bug which is not known at all? So this happens quite often. This week it happened once already when I was looking into update for Terraform 0.14. And yeah, similar things will happen in 0.15. But again, that's part of my my activity, which I do, and luckily a lot of people helping me with that. So I don't have to do a lot of heavy lifting myself.
Yeah, that's nice. And the issue is related. That's why, because you are at the edge of your models and the technology as well. Yeah. By the way, continuing talking about the modules, the best practice is to pin version of the module when you use it in Terraform. And I wanted to ask, what is the best practice for you when we need to update the module? So you have one version of Terraform, it's working well, but sometime later you face some issue, and this is a starting point when you need to think about updating the version, right? Or you just leave it working, and once you face a bug that already fixed a new version, or new version of Terraform is not compatible with this model, then it's the time to make an update.
Yeah, actually, that's a pretty big question in itself. And we've had this discussion last week at on different places on the internet, because Terraform 0.14 coming, and there are a few incompatible things. So people want to figure out how to do this. So one solution which I've been doing, but I've been doing it kind of incorrectly, and I understood it last week. So the solution was that you set the range of versions where you can guarantee that things are working, which means that when new version of provider or Terraform is released, then you need to update 200 places, and that's just a lot. And well, we don't have enough tooling for that yet. So the right solution here is to define only which is like the minimum working version. So once you specify just minimum working version, then you can hopefully have the same behavior in next version. If something is not going to work in, let's say, in that version, then you simply release fix only for that specific module or sub-module or subset of it. But usually you define just minimum version of module provider or whatever. So minimum defined version is enough. But also currently there is a bug in 0.14 which is still not fixed, which actually doesn't let you do this. So we have to just wait a little bit because right now we cannot. We just cannot. So the new features which are coming in Terraform 0.14, they will kind of break the behavior, and well, anyway, it will be fixed soon. But the point is that when new version is coming, you have to stay and you have to actually think significantly more about backward compatibility. So that's why all kind of renaming and all kind of refactoring and even using latest features of Terraform is kind of prohibited. Today and yesterday, I discovered another interesting challenge where I wanted to use a feature which was released almost a year ago. And pretty much instantly, I got feedback from people who say, oh, we cannot use this version because we cannot update. So, well, I mean, then what kind of versions I can use? Like 1 year ago, it's significant amount of time. So what I have as a promise, and I try to stick to it, is that only latest version is going to be supported. Whatever is latest right now, then it will be supported. If it's like I don't know, half year ago, then okay, maybe it's supported still. But everything what is older than half year, sorry, but I'm not able to have this kind of guarantee. And I think a majority of people understand, and they're actually able to update it and live quite nicely.
Yeah, it's the way the many open source products do. They support the latest 2 or 3 versions, and everything else goes to trash and saying people just update. That's why I'm still using Terraform 0.12 and waiting until community face all the bugs and provides a stable model. Yeah. Also, I wanted to ask you about your personal and recommended toolset for Terraform developer and user. So I know there are a lot of it, like the TerraGrant, TFLint, TFSec, everything that way. I wanted to ask your personal and recommended the list of tools.
Well, it really depends on where I work. Again, as you mentioned, TerraGrant is quite good and helpful tool. But more I use it, more problems I find there, and less I like it. But at the same time, there is no better way. So it's like I don't know. It's like I don't know. You're like drug addict. You understand that it's bad, but there is nothing better than your current drugs. So the same with me and TerraGrant. I know that it's not the best thing, but well, there is nothing better right now, and that's sometimes it's a little bit disappointing because from one side you have to use something like that, but there is nothing better than that, and also there is no incentive from companies to come up with something what is entirely better than that. So my toolset is usually including just Terraform of their latest version, which is beta or alpha. Well, alpha not so often, but beta or release candidate, just because I want to see even more bugs. And sometimes I see them. If I see too many bugs, and if I cannot, let's say, open issues, or I don't have time to do that right now, then I simply roll back to previous version, which is still stable, already pretty well beaten, and people know about it quite nicely. So that's one of like main recommendation for me is like use something what is really latest, what you can afford. And when it comes to tooling, I have pretty good experience with TFLint, which just shows me as I'm typing that I did something bad. A large amount of these things I already know by heart, and I don't make these mistakes anymore. But I hope to have more tooling like this embedded into platforms where people develop. So that's why, in particular, I'm interested in different Terraform tooling projects related to, let's say, Terraform language server plugin for VS Code, or even development platform like Gitpod or GitHub code spaces. So something where developers can write this and manage their Terraform configuration is as integrated environment is pretty cool. So my tooling is very straightforward most of the time. I use pre-commit hooks, pre-commit Terraform project, again, which I just started because there was nothing back then. Not because I'm good at shell, not at all. I simply figure out that, oh, it's cool that we have tool which can generate documentation. Cool, why not? Let's integrate it. And then, oh, there is tool which can validate your Terraform code. Let's add it, and so on. So this is like organically growing. Again, the community is doing significant amount of work. Sometimes I want to hire all of these people myself and just work with them full time. But when I talk to them and say like, hey guys, do you want to be active in open source and I give you more permissions and you can do whatever you want? I did this a few times on different projects, and it's like, if you want to lose a friend, give him a book, right? Then you will not see this friend and the book.
Or
the
money.
same with yeah, exactly, or money. And the same with giving permission to different Terraform projects. At least for me, it's like you can go to open source projects where you struggle somehow, and you find the best developer there, and you say, "Oh, you're doing a great job. Can you please continue doing the same? And I see that you understand what you're doing. Can you just be more active?" And then you give him access, and then he disappeared. That's I mean, it's hilarious, but that's what happened to some of my projects, and it's quite interesting. It's,
Okay, and
yeah.
the next question, if you don't mind, we talked about the tooling, but then I want to ask you how to use it in the best CI/CD pipeline for the Terraform repositories. So we can link everything that we talk about. It something of pre-commit framework, Terraform built-in FMT, TF-lint, everything of that, or using the Atlantis projects for reviewing the pull requests, and then applying the Terraform plan during the merge request when it's merged. Can you tell us your best way of organizing the CI/CD pipeline for the Terraform projects?
It's quite interesting that I have no clue how to do this in the best way. Honestly, I have no clue how people do this and what works, what doesn't work, because there are so many combinations how people can do this. So that's why I was really lucky to find Brian, who is already active in our project, and I asked him, can you please figure out how to do this for GitHub Actions? So that's currently what he's working on. He will show it, I think, about next week, maybe Friday next week or so. We'll figure out. It will be public again. And the point here is that this is one of the area which I know in theory how it can be done. And I did it a few times for different customers, for myself, but I'm pretty often not happy with the outcome. It's like with Atlantis. Atlantis is a great tool once you figure out how to do this, once you set it up. I was not able to set it up the way I wanted. And the way I wanted is to make Atlantis to be publicly available for everyone. So what it means is that Atlantis by itself is designed to be running behind some firewall, so that there is not enough isolation. And if you do something, then there are some hacks how you can get access to another pull request, another code, maybe some secrets leaking, and so on. So about a year ago, I think, or maybe even 2 years ago, I started working on a project which is called Atlantis, or Public Atlantis, where I put or I described what kind of considerations has to be taken into account and how to set it up. Again, the goal for me that was I want to have Atlantis available on certain endpoint. People authenticate using their GitHub and Auth0. Then if your GitHub belongs to, let's say, super admin, then whatever you write inside of comment will be taken seriously. So if you say Atlantis apply -d examples, then it means that you want to create a real infrastructure which is inside of examples, which is great. I have support from AWS on that, and AWS can give credits for that, so we can easily spin up any infrastructure we want. The point here is that it's pretty hard to make it safe. So, for example, there are infinite amount of things which can go wrong, and I couldn't figure out this nicely, so I kind of abandoned this project. But if somebody wants to do this, we can talk about it, and I can share at least what I was thinking about and where I stopped. I did some development, but then I stopped. But overall, putting Terraform in CI/CD pipeline is already well implemented inside of EKS module, Terraform AWS EKS module, which is very active, and there are a few people working on it very actively, so which is really great. They are making sure that this project is actually moving ahead because it has great potential and it has very large plans where it can go. It's not so small in size where once you implement all features, there is not much for you to do, as with majority of modules. So they have actually implemented CI/CD pipeline inside of GitHub Actions, and most likely the solution which will be implemented for all Terraform AWS modules will be based on that one. And I think there is not much like rocket science which can be invented there. I mean, you're absolutely right. So we will run pre-commit in check mode, and check mode will tell whether exit code is 0 or not 0. Then we will run tflint. Well, pre-commit will actually run everything as it is configured inside of the code. And then we will also improve release process, because now the release process is three or four different shell scripts which I run on my computer. So that's pretty much it. There is, I mean, it works, but it definitely requires some streamline, because the ultimate goal which I had for this project, well, I don't know which year, but in the future at least, is to be able to dynamically create Terraform modules, including all infrastructure required resources, testing, documentation, and many, many other things. So we'll see. Testing is another big area which is interesting, and I just don't know how efficiently to proceed with it. Hopefully, I will be able to tell more about it in about 2 months when I talk to HashiCorp, but we'll see. In 2 months, there will be more news about testing inside of HashiCorp or inside of Terraform. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Anton, you are AWS Community Hero and HashiCorp Ambassador. Actually, what's this? This is just labels, or you are paid for the advocating this products company? So what's this? Or just a fun thing?
No. As you can see, well, I don't have any labels on my table right now, but the thing is that AWS Heroes is an award which was given by AWS employees. So which means that AWS employees go around and use internet, and they see me more often than some other people. And that's how they decided it more than a year ago. It also means that I was active, or I'm still active inside of AWS community, and doing something either with open source or with organizing different events, speaking at different events, and so on. So once you do something good for this community, you will be awarded at some point. I see this quite often when people do something for a very long time, then they get benefit from it. Similar with HashiCorp Ambassador, is that I was doing work in open source for a pretty long time and also helping organize different HashiCorp events and giving feedback from the community back to the product owners and to employees of HashiCorp, giving different opinions. Some of my opinions they didn't like at all. Some of my opinions they actually implemented some way or another, which is very good and very motivating. So yeah, once you do something and you like it, then you will be kind of awarded at some point. It's
Okay, clear. Evgeny, do you have
Yeah,
technical questions?
not only technical, and also have questions related to these titles. So AWS Community Hero and HashiCorp Ambassador. Is it a permanent award, or is the Hall of Fame that you will never lose this title, or you should contribute and work with community continue, and if you don't, you will lose this title?
Well, I don't know any examples when people lost this title before, but I know that there is similar category which is called AWS Ambassador. No, Ambassador. AWS Partner Network Ambassador or something like that. There you need to confirm, like every year, what exactly did you do during this year. So for them, they actually had this selection earlier this week, and a few friends of mine say that they were reselected again this year because they did something good, and they have some internal or actually external and publicly available ranking system. So they can say, "Oh, I am number 4 in the world by some criteria." So I don't know if we have to do something like that in AWS Community Hero, but I think anyway, the point is that if you like what you are doing, you will stay there. There are two ways how you can get rid of this title. Actually, two very straightforward ways. The first way is that you get hired by AWS or by any partners. Then you lose this title and that's it. Or another way is that you disclose something secret. So there are a lot of interesting secret information which we have access to about new releases, new features, products, updates, and so on. And if we accidentally or intentionally talk about this, then we will be like famously known. You are this guy who disclosed this announcement. But I don't know anyone who did this before, and we had our meeting, like 24 hours meeting yesterday, and we talked about it. It was very motivating to meet people who are like-minded and who are very knowledgeable in different areas.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And one question about AWS. So you have started contributing to Terraform, I believe, from the start of this project, so 2014, I believe, and also
I think 15.
15.
Around,
Okay.
yeah.
And you've chosen to contribute to exactly AWS side. Have you ever thought about writing some modules to another public clouds, private clouds, or maybe the multi-cloud modules or something like that?
Yeah, and it's actually quite interesting is that the reason why I started with AWS is because that's what I was using back then when I discovered Terraform, and it was quite natural choice for me. And yes, in fact, I was talking to Microsoft or Azure team or Microsoft. I don't remember which team I talked to most. I talked to them 2019 And I said, okay, guys, your public Terraform module sucks completely. And I explained why and what's the problem. Do you want me to jump on board and help you with that work? Similar way how I did for AWS, like doing it like from ground up and doing it completely like not just for fun, but actually kind of expanding my area. And they said like, no, we don't need your support because we can do this ourselves. Almost 1.5 years later, no changes in that area. No single change, no release. So for me, this gives an indication that Azure at least does not prioritize it. Okay, I don't mind. So then another company who is doing this quite nicely and not very collaborative outside of their field is Google. So Google does a lot of interesting things, like huge amount of things. But these things are only known inside of Google ecosystem. I usually go to see how Google develop different projects for inspiration because they come up with very unusual solutions, sometimes over-engineered solutions. But you look at these solutions and you think like, oh, that's how you guys think about it, or some very new perspective. And I really like it. So some of those ideas which they had actually were pretty revolutionary, and I didn't quite even understand them back then. Like 2 or 3 years ago, when I first looked at them, I thought like, why did you do these solutions so strangely? It's like it's not going to work. And then about 2 or 3 years later, I figured out, okay, that's what you meant. So they were like pretty advanced that time. And yeah, Google is way ahead. Another cloud provider which I'm currently working with, but they have pretty zero level Terraform support is Ali Cloud. So Ali Cloud is similar to AWS, but slightly different. Lack of a lot of features. Some features are far from AWS, so they have similar feature, but it's implemented totally opposite. And I try to work with Terraform and do some projects there, but it's not going to be as public or as active. Most likely, I will just write some code and give it away to customers, but it's not going to be public because I don't want to associate my name with even more projects because it's insane. I cannot handle even this amount.
Yeah, thanks. And the last question for me is about the infrastructure as a code tools, and the Terraform was something. It was a breakthrough when it's introduced. So we didn't have the tools that we can manage all the clouds, private clouds, everything, and that's why it's was a revolution, I think, in the infrastructure as a code patterns. But last year, as you know, the Pilumi project was introduced, and it's trying to follow the idea of Terraform, but it, in the same way, it introduced new features that users of Terraform have asked, and they are missing in this. For example, not everyone like the HCL patterns, other tools, and Pilumi is offering that is Terraform is what is not trying to do. So I wanted to ask if can you rate the further development and usage of Pilumi comparing to Terraform? I know it's having less stars on GitHub nowadays, but not much people have tried it. So what do you think about it?
Well, I think it's a very complicated question, and it really depends who you ask. Like every time when I talk to Pilumi developers, they tell me like, "Hey, but this company use our products and they're happy and they have all benefits." That's fine. The same, you can talk to Terraform users and they will be happy. What I see as much like better comparison between these tools is what kind of outcome you will get. You have two solutions. One solution where yes, you will have to write, let's say, HCL. You have to do some you have to understand how to write HCL or how to write your code or how to do work. And another group of people is who doesn't care about what kind of tools you use, what kind of interface you have on backend, whether you use I don't know, Pilumi, Terraform, TerraGrant, or maybe all three together. They don't really care. So what I see as a big missing beat right now is some sort of abstraction already on top of these tools, where, I mean, multi-cloud is far away. It's kind of, for me, it doesn't even exist, to be honest, because it's just another, I don't know, it's just buzz bingo where people say, hey, multi-cloud. But if we are talking about these two things like Pilumi and Terraform, they are pretty mature and they will still be needed. They will still have the same amount of users and same amount of features being developed. There will be new features in Pilumi, new features in Terraform. So these two tools will develop in long run quite successfully. There is already a quite clear separation between users of these tools. And usually I find it quite critical to understand who you are trying to sell it to. Like if your company, let's say, use 100% of, I don't know, TypeScript or Python, and your CTO or VP of engineering likes programmatic approach, then he will certainly go and say to everyone that, hey guys, from now on we use Pilumi because Pilumi is awesome. That's one thing. But on the other side, if people say like, oh, we saw how our problem can be solved already using Terraform, they will go and buy in Pilumi, in Terraform. It's quite an easy choice for them. People have options. People will choose between what is best. There are a few things which I think is really critical to understand. Is that Pilumi or Terraform, they have their ready-made solutions which they are selling to people. In Terraform, it's called modules, where unfortunately HashiCorp is not pushing well enough, I would say, to people to use modules. So that's another story. But in Pilumi, there are also very well-developed framework and libraries which people can use, and then they will have the infrastructure developed very nicely, very efficiently. So I would really look into using and comparing just existing solutions like libraries. Pilumi has, let's say, crosswalk for AWS. What does AWS have? Well, AWS doesn't have anything, honestly. But what does the Terraform and Terraform AWS modules have? Well, there are a bunch of modules which you need to somehow connect yourself. Pilumi, in this case, is a little bit better, I would say. But that's another story. Other quite significant limitation right now is that AWS as well as Azure, they all say that, yeah, we see Terraform as important bit and we want people to use it. But I don't see any significant movement from any of these players where they can say, we see this, like AWS, I think AWS said it publicly, or maybe it was in some keynote somewhere, that we see that something like 80 or 70% of our infrastructure API calls are from Terraform, because they see that API call is made from Terraform of specific version. And they made this information public at some keynote somewhere. So at the same time, we are struggling with making a job done in Terraform on AWS. It's just insane. Like why there is not better integration between AWS and Terraform, and we have literally one click to get best created infrastructure as code. I mean, why people have to struggle, why it has to look so complicated. I sometimes don't understand it.
Because they have provided two solutions, CDK and CloudFormation. Yeah, and use it because our engineers has developed it.
Exactly, and that's really a kind of good point. Is that AWS was the first company who said, "Oh, we give CloudFormation." It was back in 2009 or 10, and people were using it. And okay, we struggle. Here is another iteration of it, which is CDK. People use it, but still there is Terraform. So it doesn't matter if people will use CDK or CloudFormation. The fact is that there are already 70 or 80% API calls coming from Terraform. What else does AWS need to know? Should it go down or should it go up for AWS to take it seriously? I really don't get it sometimes. A lot of solutions in AWS are far from optimal, and users have to struggle, and usually the solution which they develop is not the most secure, but of course everybody wants to have secure solution, but it's not secure because not many people could figure out how to get it up actually in the best way. And that's where Pilumi is actually better, because Pilumi say, okay, we give you best way and custom way. Which one do you prefer? And usually people say, hey, give me best way. Cool, yeah.
Yeah, and recently adding to Pilumi, they introduced the API calls as well that people can use by creating the infrastructure from the code from the application before the actual application runs. I think it's also a great tool. Maybe people will try it and give a feedback, but in the nutshell, it looks very interesting.
In Terraform, there was also a similar release, which was, it's not similar in the sense that it does a similar thing, but it's similar from the premise that customers come to a company and say, hey, isn't it good that we want to manage, let's say, application deployment and infrastructure deployment together? And here you are, you have an API, you can call it. In Terraform, there are a few projects where you can do similar things. One is called Terraform exec, where you can call Terraform binary from within your Go script. And another one, which was pretty strange to my opinion, I don't remember the name of it right now, but it was to allow Terraform to be called from within Kubernetes. It's like Terraform operator for Kubernetes, which is, I don't even want to think about potential things which can go wrong. But for me, it's just over-engineering, which doesn't come from customers. It just came from, let's release this one and see what happens.
Yeah, at least these two tools seems more complicated than that Pilumi offers.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Anton. I'm done.
Okay, I think we don't have any more questions, but we have, I would say, several questions in the chat, so I probably read them aloud, and up to several minutes. Okay, the first, I would say, question from Alex. Anton, thank you so much for all your work on AWS Terraform modules. Any plans to making over an ALB module to support the target group attachment feature?
Yeah. When I hear this kind of questions from people, I have two things to mention. Usually, it's like I spend like 5 seconds to even figure out whether this feature is implemented or not, because I don't remember all features which are implemented in all modules if I don't work on it. And second thing is that I only implement features which I use myself or for my customers. It's just impossible for me to make coverage for the whole AWS in Terraform in a nice way. So talking about this specific feature, I can tell you that the reason why it's not implemented is because I never need it myself, because I use it with an auto-scaling group, and auto-scaling group has target group IRN already, so which means that I can just connect auto-scaling group module and ALB module together, and that's it. But yeah, I can see the value in this feature as well. So answering if there are any plans, well, honestly, no, I don't have any plans to do this myself. But if anyone wants to write code and see how contribution process work, you are really welcome to write this code. And yeah, most likely I will review it. Again, I'm not very reliable person right now because I just have too much to do at the same time. But there are luckily, I think, 7 more people in this organization who will be able to review it. And yeah, that's exactly a type of help which I really missing. So if you guys use this module, or if you use any of these modules and you see some open issues or some pull request laying around, you can just mention my name and say, oh, we think that this is closed, or this is implemented, or this is not relevant anymore. It really helps me because I will most likely read your comment, look into the code, and think about this for 10 seconds and close this issue, because I tend to agree that you made a job already and you look into this code. So
Okay.
hopefully I answered this.
Okay, thank you. The next question and the last question. What will be the immediate rival for the Terraform in the near future? And also let us know the best practices to manage Terraform state file on the changing environment.
Well, the rival of Terraform, I think, is, I mean, in some places, it will be CDK, because AWS is pushing a little bit way too much than Terraform team can respond. So for AWS environment, I think it's going to be AWS CDK. I don't look into CDK for Terraform project as a competitor in the near future. I think I will not look into it for at least half a year or even a year. I mean, if it doesn't die by that time, because I think the approach is good, but it has few technical limitations already, which I don't know how Sebastian, who's the lead developer of CDK for Terraform, is going to overcome. So let's say it's easy to cross out CDK for Terraform. Pilumi is doing great job overall. They are definitely going to be a bigger and bigger competitor, but they are aiming to, usually they're aiming to people who doesn't make decision. That's a little bit upsetting point. I mean, they're aiming software developers. Software developers will not buy this. I mean, they can say like, oh yeah, we like this tool, so go to their boss and boss will decide. But what all people with money likes is that they like UI, they like interfaces, they like PowerPoint, they like PDF. I mean, what of this Pilumi can offer? Documentation as PDF? Well, okay, I also have Terraform documentation as PDF project. So Pilumi is going to be growing nicely, but they have to change the marketing a little bit to the side, to my mind. So yeah, what other projects even exist in the open space? Well, Google is smart. They decided to do Terraform 100%, which is good. Azure, I don't know what Azure is even thinking. They still pushing few of the projects related to Azure Resource Managers. So they are not 100% into Terraform. So customers will most likely prefer Terraform when it comes to managing more than one environment, because still there is nothing else what works across multiple environments except Terraform, which would take approximately 70%, and Pilumi approximately 30%. So yeah, it's interesting to see what will be rivals of Terraform, but I think that in the near future, there will not be any big stars coming up, because this field is already well defined. People understand that, yes, we need to have our infrastructure reproducible as configuration file or as a programming language, doesn't matter. Still, we will rewrite this tool in about 2-3 years from now, because that's always happening. Like, we come back to the same question over and over, but not right now. So in the immediate future, Terraform will still be the leading thing, to my mind. And the last part is best practices of managing Terraform state file on changing environment. I'm not sure I understand exactly what you mean, because Terraform state file itself reflects the content of your infrastructure. And once you run Terraform refresh, it will automatically update it for you. So, and Terraform refresh is automatically run when you run Terraform plan or apply. So yeah, if you can elaborate on this question, I will be glad to answer. But right now, I don't know what is. In general, best practices are very well documented in the official documentation already. So you can go there and see how to handle Terraform state and how to handle access control to Terraform state, and how to make sure that your secrets are actually not easily extracted from that Terraform state. So yeah, that's in general best practice, to go to Terraform documentation and read about any section you want. So what is change in environment? Sorry, I don't really understand it.
Okay, so that's all questions for today. And Anton, I would like to say thank you for the quite honest talk. You talking honestly about the really interesting things, about the vendors, about the open source. We all appreciate this. And also, I would like to say thank you for your time, because it's your time. You are not paid for this time. You spend your time with the community, doing a lot of things for free, spreading your knowledge, running the talks, participating in the community events. I really appreciate this, and I think all community also appreciates this. So when I'm saying thank you, it's not only from me, but also from all the community, and for all the things you are doing.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Anton. It was nice speaking to you.
So see you
Yep.
next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.